All right, it's 6:32. I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Champaign County Board Committee of the Whole. It's nice to see everybody in person again. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Furtado,
Here. Here.
Goss,
Present.
Harper,
Here.
King,
Here.
Lakshin, McGuire,
Here.
Michaels, Pasalakwa,
Here.
Paul, Rodriguez,
Here.
Storr,
Here.
Straub, Summers,
Here.
Taylor,
Here.
Thorslin,
Here.
Vanich Thiranot,
Here.
Williams, Wolken, Carter, Cowart, Esri,
Here.
Patterson.
Here. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion? All right, King, Esri. Any discussion, additions, subtractions? All right, seeing none, clerk, or all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
How you like them apples?
A lot.
Next agenda item is the approval of the minutes for February 15th, 2022, the regular meeting. Do I have a motion? I have Goss and Harper. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next on the agenda is public participation. Do we have any members of the public that would like to participate? I do not believe so. Do not have any slips. Next is board communications. Do any board members have any communications? All right, I've been asked to make an announcement. We will be having group photographs and the headshots for the official county board portraits next Thursday at before our county board meeting, starting at 5:45 in this room. And also for tonight, if you are going to be wearing a mask, just make sure that you speak directly into the microphone. If you sit back, it can be a little muffled for the recording. All right, next on the agenda is policy, personnel, and appointments. Chris?
Thank you, Chair Patterson. I have the monthly Human Resources Report on file. We have a number of vacancies, of course. Item number 2, appointments and reappointments. I'd like to have an omnibus motion for items 2A, B, and C. Resolution appointing Alexa McCoy to the Mental Health Board, term ending December 31st, 2025. Resolution appointing Thaddeus Bates to Zoning Board of Appeals, term ending November 30th, 2024. Resolution appointing Nolan Herbert to the Zoning Board of Appeals, term ending November 30th, 2022.
Second.
Eric, and then second by Brad. Thank you. Discussion on the motion. Hearing no clamor for discussion, we can vote on that. All in favor of the omnibus motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion passes. Next is a resolution appointing county board liaison to the Community Action Board. That is our own Brad Pasalakwa.
So moved.
Who
He
moved?
He doesn't have enough to do now, so.
Okay, Jim
Gets in too
McGuire
much
makes a
trouble.
motion. Do we have a second? Even a reluctant second? Stan Harper. Sold to Stan. Discussion of the motion. No, you can't, no.
If anybody is really into this, I would love for them to step up because I do have a full plate, but my understanding was we could fall into some disrepair if we don't have someone in the position, so I don't want us to do that. So I'm willing to do it to prevent any recourse.
Thank you for stepping up and doing that. Kyle?
I just want to thank Brad for enthusiastically taking on this role. You know, as you mentioned, there is a statutory obligation for us to have 2 board members, and by making this sacrifice, you're saving us from potentially, you know, losing money for the county. So thanks for taking one for the team.
Thank you. Emily Rodriguez?
Thank you. I just wanted to note that, sorry, the county executive does prefer to have a member of both parties on this community action board. So if Brad Pasalacqua is truly beholden, or, I don't know, against this appointment, we could certainly appoint 2 Democrats. Just wanted to note that. Thanks.
This is a very important board, and it does an awful lot for our community. So again, thank you. Hearing no further discussion, seeing no hands, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The motion passes. We have a number of appointments. There's a list with a link on our agenda for drainage districts, cemetery, and fire, and so forth. County clerk report, also on file. I don't have any other business. There is no chair's report. The items to be placed on the consent agenda would be items 7, 2, A, B, C, and D. Chair Patterson.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the Finance Committee. Stephanie?
Thanks. So the first item for up is Budget Amendment BUA 2022-296, Fund 2089, County Public Health Fund, Department 049, Board of Health, increased appropriation $751,681, increased revenue $846,720. Reason, increased grant revenue and extended grant deadline necessitating increased appropriation to extend payment for services. Do I have a motion? So moved.
Second, McGuire.
McGuire. Taylor, McGuire. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, Budget Amendment BUA 2022-344, Fund 1080 General Corporate, Department 040 Sheriff Law Enforcement, Fund 1080 General Corporate, Department 140 Sheriff Corrections, increased appropriations $317,135, increased revenue $317,135, and the reason was to receive reimbursement from IDOC and appropriate funds for equipment and out-of-county boarding. Do I have a motion? Esri, second. King. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Budget Amendment BUA 2022-2-333, Fund 2110, Workforce Development Fund, Department 110, DOL Apprenticeship Expansion, increased appropriations $124,907.28, increased revenues $124,907.28. Reason, Illinois Apprenticeship Expansion Program Grant.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Goss. Second? Yeah, second by, I saw Mr. McGuire, and I believe Justin is here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See
I'd
if
like to
it-
hear
I
about
just
the
want,
program.
I just
Yeah,
want the
Justin, if you wanna
opportunity. This
come
is
up.
Justin Arnold. He is the director of the WorkNet Center.
Right.
He has not been out in our community for the entire time of the pandemic. He was hired just after the pandemic started. So he was happy to come tonight and just say hello.
Awesome.
Hello.
Thanks, and I had a great opportunity to speak with Justin yesterday, I think, a little bit about this program, but Justin, do you want to share a little bit about what this is, what exactly this is, and then if folks got questions?
Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Kleppel. Yeah, what this program is for is the Department of Labor wants to expand apprenticeships in Illinois. The Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity is following their lead and saying in every economic development region, there should be someone who's trying to expand apprenticeship efforts. In our 6-county EDR, so Iroquois, Ford, Piatt, Douglas, Champaign, and Vermilion, they're looking for an apprenticeship navigator to do capacity building over the next year and a half. And what that really looks like is someone that's going to get a lay of the land, someone who's going to get people together, someone who's going to promote DEI as a recruitment and retainment strategy, and someone who's going to help increase apprenticeships in the future. RBC was the person, or excuse me, the organization in our area that's kind of taking on that charge. Having talked with you yesterday, what I found out is there was some work done previously in the area on apprenticeships, especially with trade and minority representation in construction trades. I just wanted everyone to know that I'm open to discussions and figuring out how to incorporate previous work into this work.
Just one thing that we talked about really briefly, I do think, like, thinking about how apprenticeships go beyond construction trades to other jobs, including in light manufacturing. I know that the Illinois Manufacturing Association was involved in trying to expand sort of high school pipelines to light manufacturing up in Chicago. And it'd be like totally awesome if we knew somebody over there that could help us do that in this region, because I know that that's a workforce concern for them, and figuring out how to build out that pipeline again would be really cool.
Yeah, it would be great. And the way that Illinois is trying to do this is in a region, there's a navigator who kind of gets the lay of the land. And then there's intermediaries who work with companies and job seekers to actually build out the program. And so over the next year and a half or so, we need to find some intermediaries who want to be on the ground actually building out those programs. We're really just looking at capacity building. But to your point, there are more industry clusters that we want to focus on than just construction. So it's healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, and construction is what we're looking at to try and wrap our arms around a little bit and see where we can go. But then we'll need actual intermediaries to run the programs, and that can be a nonprofit. Sometimes it's a community college.
Does anybody have any questions for Justin? Oh, yeah.
That's a good question. She asked what I would consider a juvenile. Because my department at RPC is primarily funded by WIOA, the Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act. WIOA says a juvenile is an out-of-school youth, 16 to 24, or an in-school youth, and that age is lower. I believe it's like 14 to 22, but I could be mistaken on that. So you're kind of looking at almost young adults when we're thinking about youth from a WIOA perspective.
Have you reached out to like the local high schools? I know there's a lot of shop classes and woodworking classes and things at Centennial and Urbana and Central.
I haven't started that work yet, no. When they say bring together the state, when they said a navigator should bring together a coalition of folks, the first people that were on the radar were the community colleges. So what is the curriculum going to be for these apprenticeships? The next one was some of the folks in government that have tax incentives for employers. And there's a branch of the state government that I need to reach out to and bring those people in. Then there's us, WIOA, and we could probably get into the high schools too. And then we'll bring on some employers to talk about, do you want to do apprenticeships? Have you tried to do them in the past? So I think the immediate is community college, state departments, some employers, and then maybe some high school representation, but it'd probably be the education for employment folks who are more used to the career tech ed way of thinking.
I think this is super important. I think it's important for our county. I think it's important for our local economy, and anything that we as a board can do to help. And you know, I mentioned this to you on the phone. We're sitting on all this ARPA money, and one of the things that we can do with it is try to figure out ways to get people to work. And so I think that it's perfect timing. I'm really excited to have you on board.
I'm glad to be here. And it was really good to talk with you. And yeah, if there's a way that we can find to build this out, I know I'm talking to the Community Coalition and with you, there's a real interest in minority representation in some of these fields, and also the reentry population. And that's part of kind of our DNA in workforce development anyway, is folks with barriers. But to build it out to different groups, I could use some support. So we'll keep in touch and engage on it, on this issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thanks, everybody.
I guess we got to vote on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, and then the next one is budget amendment, BUA 2022-372, Fund 2075, Regional Planning Commission, Department 100, Regional Planning Commission, increased appropriations 25,000, increased revenue 25,000. Reason RPC will serve as a fiscal agent for a redeploy planning grant. Do I have a motion? So moved, Beth. Do I have a second? Lorraine, second. Any discussion? I see Delitzo did come in. Does anybody have any questions for Delitzo? Oh, come on up. Mr. McGuire has a question.
That was Beth. It was Beth, Megan. Megan, it was Beth.
Hey there, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So can you tell us a little bit about this program, please, and how it works?
So, as the chair of the finance indicated, we're serving more as a fiscal agent. This will be anywhere between 6 months to a year, sort of feasibility study to determine if Champaign County is one of those that would be eligible to have a redeploy program. Essentially, what the program does is work with youth between the ages of 13 and 18 that are at high risk of being committed to the Department of Justice, juvenile justice. So this is more of an intervention program, and it's the same age group that we work with the Youth Assessment Center. But we were approached by some of the community-based organizations to serve as the fiscal agent. I think that, well, the program is administered through the Department of Human Services, and their preference is to work with units of local government. And so we certainly offered ourselves to serve in that capacity. We're working with Sam Smith, who's with the University of Illinois, and we have other community partners such as DREAM that would be part of this initiative.
Great, glad to hear it's all part, and everybody's working together, especially with the Youth Assessment Center.
Absolutely.
For these more wraparound services for these families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, yeah, thanks for stepping up and being that. That's always a big barrier for these kind of planning grants, is finding a fiscal agent. So thank you for being willing to do that. Seeing no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer and auditor reports. I don't see either of them.
Daughter's here.
Oh, George, I'm sorry, you snuck in, I didn't see you. I apologize, I did not see you. Does anybody have any questions or? Yes. Wayne.
I noticed on the auditor's report for February that in the section for fiscal 2022.
Hey, Wayne, could you speak directly into your microphone, please?
I noticed in the report for February, all of the lines for fiscal 2022 were zeroed out. Is this an issue with the new ERP, or what's going on with that?
No, it's because, pardon me, it's loud. No, it's because we closed the year after February's concluded.
I'm sorry?
We closed the year after February's concluded.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in March, we should start seeing some numbers?
Yeah.
All right. What's the status of the CAFR?
We already scheduled the appearance of Baker Tilly at the county board because we know that we'll have the opinion returned by then. So I shouldn't predict, but certainly by next week.
Okay, because in December, you said it would be here by the middle of February.
Well, I was waiting for one item from another department,
Which department?
the treasurer.
Do you want to tell us what you were waiting for? Or?
There were different bank accounts that needed to be reported for confirmations. So there were bank confirmations that weren't identified yet. And then they were identified, and finally the discrepant amount was below materiality, and so the audit could proceed.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Goss?
Yeah, George, George, just a quick question.
Yes.
Where are they, if you have a sense on the 2021 bank recs? Are we keeping up with bank reconciliations?
If you're referring to the county accounts, it's a much easier process with the new ERP, so we're not worried. When it comes to the collector accounts, I simply have to rely on the treasurer, as always.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
Any other? I also just wanted to point out that the county executive sort of gave us the landscape of food purchasing policies, a memo, and in our finance agenda meeting, the treasurer is going to be putting together a sort of series of recommendations specifically around credit cards and credit card policy, which overlaps but isn't entirely the exact same thing, and thought that she could have them to us by next month, if I recall correctly. So she's working on that. So that's going forward. Other business? I don't have any chairs report, so items to be put on the consent agenda are A, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And with that, I give it back to Chair.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Justice and Social Services. Leah?
Thank you. We have the monthly reports have been uploaded to the county website and placed on file for probation and court services, the public defender and animal control. The Rosecrans Reentry Financial Report has been placed on file. I do not have any other business. I do not have a chair's report, and I do not have any items to be placed on the consent agenda. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi. Would this be the appropriate time to bring up an intention about trying to have a study session in May and June?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We had talked in our about having a study session, using our study sessions that we have on the calendar, Darlene, for May and June, about having a kind of a community interface. I don't know how to say it, for the jail renovations and discussion. Just to I can email you about that if you'd like. But that's all I had.
Leah?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Goss.
Sorry, I thought you were still talking, so I didn't wave at you. I think it's now when we're back, we haven't, and I get why, because we've been Zoom. I'd like to see Rosecrans in here at some point for a report too, because, I mean, we see the reports, but there's really no way to ask questions without asking on the public record. So
Sounds good. I will get that done. Thank you. Anybody else? Going. Back to you, Kyle.
All right, next on the agenda, we have approval of the closed session minutes for January.
Megan just went to get them, Kyle.
What's
She
that?
forgot to bring them in to pass them around. They're just short. It'll just be going around the room.
You say that they're going around?
Megan just went to get the package.
Oh, okay,
She
so
forgot
we
to bring
could
it in, pass it.
look at it, okay. So I guess we'll wait and look at the minutes when they come here. Do you want to like recess for 5 minutes? I don't know. I mean,
Can I use this time to ask you guys a question? I donated a lot to Habitat for Humanity, and I had alluded to that earlier on in the year. It happened, and a family chose the lot. I don't have a start date yet from Habitat, but when we get a start date, I'm going to be passing a sign-up sheet around. My company, my partner and I, we are going to provide the roof, but I'd like to do a work day with the whole board, maybe more than one, so that we can lump the schedules over. It'd be nice for us to get out in the wild, not in this room. So I just want to put that in your ear. That's coming spring, maybe summer. But I was really happy because the potential homeowners get to select lots out of inventory, and ours got picked right away. So it's a good deal.
I think that's a great idea. I've thought for a while that it would be cool if this board once a year had a like community service day where we actually went out into the community and did something like that. So I think that's awesome.
So the minutes are being passed around. If people could just look when they get to you, and then we'll take a vote on it. You initial that you saw them, but, oh.
It's the paper just to make sure everybody saw it.
In the meantime, we're going to have Dr. Storr talk about LiDAR technology. I was kidding, Chris, please don't.
I've got slides.
You're too late, Kyle.
I can give you the update on County Plus if you'd like. So just to let you know briefly, we have signed our documents, we've paid our interest money, we've done our investigations and due diligence on it. We've worked out all the arrangements. We plan to close on the 5th of April, and then we will begin to start the renovations to the building. It will be starting with the outside parts first. So probably you'll see construction things going on in the parking deck, which has some structural issues, and then we'll move our way into the building. We have also formed a committee with officials and are discussing who wants to move, how much space they need. They've met with the architect for the first time, et cetera, et cetera. So just to update you on that. We did talk to the facilities committee briefly about it already, but I thought the whole board might like to hear. So we are moving forward.
Was there any samples
So who are
left
the
in the
board
bank?
representatives on this committee?
The board members are not represented on the committee because the board members are not making decisions about the space or the security, things like that. So there will be reports periodically back to the board to talk about what we need your input on.
Talking
Anyway,
about
thought
random
you'd all like
things.
to hear where we're at.
How are we doing on the broadband study? We should be getting that this month, right? And then maybe what would be beneficial is maybe at a full board, because those are usually lighter agendas, have them come tell us what they discovered.
So the broadband task force, Kyle, do you want to talk about that? Or do you want me to do it? The broadband task force has received its draft report from the consultants last week and will be meeting on the 21st to talk about that. And then we'll have a couple of more meetings maybe to make a discussion and decision about a recommendation to the full board. They're hoping to come to the full board in April and be able to present their recommendations at that time.
And I will tell you, it is not 2 pages.
It's a 700-page document. Well, actually, they said it was the largest one they've done in quite some time, and I think that actually that's a good thing, because what that means is that they were able to get a lot of responses from the survey they did in the community. They were able to get many interviews with people that were in specific sectors of the county, and they were able to, we have several providers in our county, which is unlike many counties just have one provider. We have several, so they have a bigger report because they had to report on all those things. But I have not read it in detail myself, but it is here if anybody wants to. It is 700 pages long.
I haven't got all the way through the whole thing, but they did a really good job evaluating the infrastructure that we do have and the providers, so there's lots of good information.
I mean, that's why we wanted to do this, right? But why the thoroughness is exciting to me is because the more data that you have, the better it puts us in position with other counties that we're competing for grants, right? Because just quite frankly, they're not going to have that kind of data. So we're going to be able to answer questions with a robustness that other counties won't be able to.
And I've already gotten 2 requests from other counties to see how we did our process. So they're just getting to that point now.
I would like to say the pictures look nice for the Shields Carter meeting room. I don't remember him being that young, though.
Everybody's seen.
Oh, all right. Looks like we are back at it. Can I have a motion for the approval of the closed session minutes? Did we already do that part?
No, but I'll move to approve the
Okay.
closed session minutes.
Mr. Asri, Mr. Williams. I hope nobody has any discussion.
I would just like to note that, that everybody has agreed to it, because usually we have an envelope that we check off on.
Mm-hmm. All right, seeing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that passes unanimously. It should go on the consent agenda. It doesn't? Oh, okay, so no consent agenda. And seeing no other business, call this meeting adjourned.